I'm on a mission to fly the A2A Comanche around the world, and in the first stint I went from Skor down to Sandwich and then Kirkwall in the Shetland Islands. And then from there today I'm going to be flying from Kirkwall all the way to Barra, which is a beach landing site, which is actually pretty cool. So yeah, we're going to be landing on the beach. It's going to be pretty windy and pretty dull weather, but let's get into it and have a nice little flight. Right, so we're here in the cockpit and we are just going to get things started, getting the battery on there, check our fuel level, just going through the checklist. Now, I haven't flown this plane in a long time, so I'm sort of winging the checklist as I go, because I don't want to have to look at it all the time, so I'm just going for it here. And I've already done a little bit of a walk around of the aircraft, so yeah, we don't need to do a walk around. So there we go, we're just checking the fuel pump and it has got some fuel pressure. So let's get started on getting the engine running, shall we? We're going to put the beacon light on. We're going to check our controls here, just quickly make sure they are free and correct. That's right. We can't really see the tail, but we'll pull it and give it a go anyway. You can feel the aircraft bounce as we do that. So we're going to check the flaps working. Yep, they are indeed working. We've got quite a lot of wind today as well, so I'm not going to use the flaps on takeoff as we have got high wind. I don't really think we should use them when we're in high wind, because takeoff's going to be pretty short as it is. So we'll just crack open the throttle a little bit, put in the props full, put mixture rich fully, and we'll just do 5 pulls of the primer. Magnetos are on. Lock the primer up and press the engine starter. Once we shout clear prop, there we go, close that window again so it doesn't get too loud. And there we go, start the engine, and you can hear the beautiful engine roaring there. I love how the compass vibrates at the start, at engine start, and then settles down as the RPM, you know, settles itself out a little bit. Quite a neat little feature. So yeah, just getting things ready now. Just do a little brake test, tap on the brakes, they seem fine. So we're just going to get our lights on here, avionics master on, and the navigation lights. I don't really know how these work because they're like a twist knob. I don't know if that's like increasing brightness or what. I don't know how they work properly, but anyway, we'll get the transponder on. We've got the radios on, and when I first loaded back into this, I don't know if it had been updated or what, but the engine was totally dead. I needed to change the crankshafts and everything, even though it was fine after our last flight. And also the starter breaker was out, so I don't know if it was some sort of update or whether I don't know, some weird bug that had happened. But anyway, I'm trying to figure out how we get back to the map screen here. I could not figure out how to get back to the map screen. Oh, and then I realised, yeah, that's how you work GPS and navigation. So yes, I am doing this commentary post. I have already flew this flight, as you could probably tell by now. But if you are enjoying this and you want to see more videos like this and you enjoy it on the channel, please do leave a like, subscribe if you want to see some more, and hit that did I say hit the like button, or did I say comment down below? One of the two, whichever one you have not done. But anyway, let's get on with the show. So here we are on the runway. We're just going to turn into the wind first of all and do a little run up. It is a quiet little airport. We don't need to worry about traffic coming in, and there is no taxiways, so we are just going to do it on the runway. Just checking out that wind sock and seeing the direction of the wind before we do the run up, because you always want to be facing in the direction of the wind before you start your run up. So here we go, we're just going to slowly increase the RPM to 2000. Make sure it's holding stable there. and then we're going to reduce the magneto to the left, and we get a drop. That's fine. We're going to put our lights on as well. Back to both, over to the right, drop is fine, and back to both. And then we're going to pull the carb heat, see if there's a drop there, and there is. That is perfectly fine. So that is our run up done. I'm going to just slowly back off the throttle again, come back down, quite low revs, see if the engine holds, and then go back up to 1200 RPM. There we go. So now we've done that, we are ready for takeoff. We've got our landing lights on. We want to put the fuel pump on for takeoff. One thing I did forget, I think I forgot to put my strobes on until later on in the flight. So if you did notice, I am sorry, I acknowledge that later on. But here we go, on our takeoff roll. Listen to this baby purr. Just put our ailerons into the wind a little bit. There we are. Quite a high wind. Gear up, although I did not flick the switch twice because it is a 3-way gear lever, which I did not realise. So I didn't realise till later on the gear was actually still out, and that's why I was not as fast as I should have been when I was in my climb. But yeah, you know, the UK is a beautiful place to be and fly, and the Shetland Islands are really great scenery. I really did enjoy flying around these islands. This is the Shetland Island. Yes it is. Got myself a little bit confused here. So this is the longest flight of the leg so far. It has only been 2 legs, and I thought I'd do things in a little bit of a different manner where I cut out most of the boring flying. The first leg you can check out on my other channel or this channel, depending where I've actually posted the video. Yeah, you can check out the other leg and see how I did the first video, where it was just live commentary and cut out some bits there. But we're going to do a little bit of time lapse. I think that is a cool idea, do some time lapse so you can see, you know, the scenery that we're flying over throughout this journey. This is going to take a long time. This is going to be a long series because traversing the world at 140 knots is a long time. And there we go, I finally figured out how to put ATC chatter on. It does not work for some reason, and probably it's because I'm not tuning my radio, because I'm not using the ATC. I probably will in the next flight, because we are going to be going to a proper airport, so I think the next flight I will use proper ATC. I'm waiting for Beyond ATC to come out, to be honest, because that does seem pretty cool. So we're just going to our checklist here, make sure we are doing everything as we should be, and getting the numbers for the throttle and prop, because getting them right with where fuel usage is, you know, optimum. Oh, I've got the hiccups now. Fuel usage is optimum is quite tricky, and you don't want to foul the engine as well. And I actually come up on a little issue later on. The first time I've had a carb heat issue, I noticed my speed was dropping dramatically. I was only cruising around 80 knots, and I was thinking, why am I cruising so slow with full throttle there mostly? And it's because I had a load of ice in the carbs. So if it wasn't for that little tablet, I would never have figured it out. So I just pulled the carb heat on, and there we go, we were back up to proper cruising speed. So yeah, that was the issue I'd never had before in this aircraft, and it was exciting. I do like how realistic they try and make this. You know, it's probably not realistic in the sense that issues happen quite so often, but yeah, it is absolutely beautiful aircraft to fly, and I can't wait to keep flying it. So yeah, there we go, we're heading across the water now. We're still on manual flight. I do switch it over to autopilot in just a little moment. So there we go, let's get flying, shall we? Right, so here we are coming up on the island where we are going to be landing on that beach right up in front, and the weather really took a turn. The wind wasn't as bad where we took off from, but here it got really quite bad. Look at that, 25 knots it says there. 32 knot wind here in a headwind, but obviously we are still at quite an altitude. We're at 1,500 feet. It does drop quite a bit, but it's still pretty windy when we do eventually come down. And I did want to go over and have a look at the, can I call it an airfield, at the beach itself before we came around for an actual attempted landing, because the runways are slightly weird angles and the wind wasn't going to work with that, so I decided to sort of make my own runway, come at an angle that would be just headwind rather than trying to fight the wind at an angle and come in for a crosswind. So yeah, that is what we ultimately decided. I started dropping the power here, and then I realised how much the wind was influencing our flight, and we were basically at a hover at this point. So yeah, had to increase the power again. Just checking out some displays there and figuring out that's the angle I want to see the gear come down. Look at that. The modelling on this aircraft is exceptional. Really worth the money. If you haven't picked up this plane, I really do recommend it. It's well worth the money. The realism, the feel of the aircraft. Although I've never flown, well, sort of have flown plane in real life for about 5 minutes in the sky, it does feel realistic. It is great. So there we go, that is the beach we are coming down on. So during these flights where we're going to be going around the world, or as much of the world as possible, we are going to try and go to as many handcrafted airports as possible. From where I was starting, it was not possible because there was not many handcrafted airports, but this is one of the handcrafted airports and it is brilliant. Well, sort of. When you get a little bit closer to the terminal building that they've got, it doesn't look all that great. So yeah, but anyway, the beach is there, you can land on it, that is all that matters. Here we go. So we're just coming around, trying to drop our speed as well as our height, because obviously now at this point we've got sort of a tail crosswind, so we're getting pushed quite a bit and it's increasing our speed. Got our fuel pump on, we've stored the carb heat, we don't need that anymore as we are coming down, and it's getting a little bit warmer. I am going to go full flaps. I did decide to go full flaps because I want to keep a low speed, because I don't know how the wheels would react on the sand, so I wanted to make sure we had the stopping power before we end up hitting something, especially in this wind. So we are just coming around here back into the wind. This is quite a dangerous, I think this is a dangerous maneuver, you know, when you've got such a high wind like this, to be turning into it with your flaps down. I don't think, thinking about it, probably is not a good idea. But you know, it's a simulator, that's what it's all about. It's just simulating reality, and it doesn't have to be ultra realistic, does it? So yeah, there we go. Coming on in now, backing off the power a little bit more. Obviously once we get into the wind I will have to go back on the power so we don't stall out, because we are full flaps and obviously in such a high wind. You can see as there the trim wheel going round on the roof. I am just adjusting the trim all the time just to get a nice feel for the yoke and not have to be pulling on it too hard or pushing down against the wind sort of thing. There we go. I was just checking the wind as we were coming in there, and as you can see the runway angle is totally off from what we are actually doing, but I wanted to just head into the wind and try land that way. So here we are. We're going to make our own little runway. Doesn't really matter which angle you land at on the beach, does it? So here we go. My first ever beach landing in an aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I figured it would be fun to do. I'd love to do this flight in real life. If I had the money, I would go up and do this. Like, not as in flying myself, but being a passenger. It would be super cool to do this. If you're noticing the aircraft sounds are a little bit quieter, it's because I've got my headphones on. You can put your headphones on and it noise cancels the outside sounds a little bit. So apologies if the sound is a little bit too low now, but yeah. It would get ultra loud on the exterior shots if not. Here we are, coming back nicely. It's so hard to tell where the ground is on the sand texture. Pulling back, holding it, trying to hold it as best I can. There's the stall light. There we go, and we're down. And there we go. Right, so now time for some replays. Have a little look at the exterior cameras here and see how we landed this. You can be the judge. So there we go. It seems like we did a little bit of a bounce, but I didn't feel like it when we actually landed in the cockpit. So there we go. We are down. We are just going to tidy up the aircraft here now. Store the flaps. Put the engine back up a little bit so it's not dropping too much. Turn the avionics off. Turn the fuel pump off. Landing lights, beacon light, pitot heat. Then we are going to turn off the instrument lights, navigation and instrument lights. When you figure out the controls, how to do it. There we go. And then what we want to do, turn off the radios. Could really leave them on because you turn off the avionics and they go off anyway. There we go. And we now want to pull out the mixture. There we go. Pull out the prop as well. And turn off the magnetos before closing off the fuel tanks as well. And I realised we should turn these to off actually. That's probably the safest option, isn't it? When you can do it. There we go. So yeah, take the headphones out now. Turn the battery off. Everything is nice and stored. You just want to check the engine condition. Just after that little issue, it made us a little bit scared of it. So we're going to open the door. And you can hear the wind howling straight away. I mean, it's so windy outside. But there we have it. Whoops, wrong thing. Camera. I just want to turn down the speed so we can walk around the aircraft. There we go. Look at that, landed on a beach. The windsock, I think the windsocks are wrong. I don't know what's going on, but I think it definitely seems wrong. Or maybe the information on the screen we're getting is wrong. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like. And I'll see you guys in the next one.